Thanks for tuning in, and this is going to be my review, guys, of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot. And just so you know, there will be hopefully no spoilers. I will do my best to, if I do tell a spoiler, I'll let you know. But I'm gonna do my best not to, since the movie literally just came out. Okay, so first off, unless you've pretty much been living under a rock, the reviews for this film were not great. I think it got a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is bad, and I was kind of scared going into this film, and it may have lowered my expectations a little bit, which is probably maybe why I enjoyed this movie a whole lot. Critics were bashing it, poor editing, the story was all over the place, no humor, which I didn't kind of get because DC had already they had alerted everyone that this was not going to be a Marvel film. It was going to be they were going to separate themselves from Marvel by no humor, which if a lot is very good because they're doing this dark, gritty world where Marvel is doing, they don't acknowledge the destruction that they cause when they're doing all these films, apart from what I've seen in the Civil War trailer. So hopefully they're gonna take a little bit of a cue from what Batman and Superman are doing. Anyway, my initial thoughts as I came out of the theater was this movie was awesome. I loved this movie. I loved the characters. I loved where they were going. Now, that's not to say that this movie didn't have its problems. This movie had major flaws, but for me, the positives of this film totally outweighed any flaws that I saw in this film. One of the biggest flaws was the story, that it was kind of all over the place, and you had all these different aspects of. You could tell that they're trying so hard to uh, get the Justice League together. They're trying to set up so everyone knows these characters. Um, just like you had this one story of one character, and you're like, well, where is this going? And it kind of goes nowhere. And then you had these other characters, and um, let me go. You know, uh, the casting was excellent. The only real problem in performance wise, sorry, was Jesse Eisenberg. I didn't hate him. Um, I was one of those people who was kind of hesitant. I was like, Jesse Eisenberg, man, the guy who he basically plays himself in almost every movie. Uh, but he did good for what it was, I guess. But he was kind of sometimes a comedic relief, and there was like, if there was any comedy in this movie, he was trying to be that by being very what's the word, very almost different. I don't know how to say it. Like, he did weird things that you were like, yeah, you're kind of weird, dude. And then there were other parts where they were trying to make him this dark, manipulative character, and where you're thinking, okay, this guy is maybe it's just a facade of what he's doing, of doing all these quirky things that he did. And then there is Gal Gadot, who also was a big worry for me. I am a big Gal Gadot supporter when she was first introduced, because when I first saw the picture, and though a picture doesn't really tell you if she's going to be a good actress or not, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I love Gal Gadot. She's one of the bodies what Wonder Woman's about. And there was a lot of people who pretty much just hate DC. It was like, oh, she doesn't have big breasts. And I'm like, that's not what Wonder Woman's about. Or not about big breasts. She's about almost female empowerment, and she delivers in this film. Now, she doesn't have a lot of lines, but she's in and out of the film throughout. So I'm glad they didn't try and like force her into everything, but she was very good, especially in scenes with Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. You just saw there's. I hope they freaking like the chemistry between those two. I loved. I am such the biggest Wonder Woman and Batman, like, being together shipper, that I seriously hope that's where they're going with this universe, because it looks like because I was like on the edge of my seat every time those two were on screen together. I loved it. Henry Cavill is Superman, awesome. He's doing. I loved him in Man of Steel, and he just did better. His story arc of, like, I won't go too much into it, but he's troubling whether he's doing the right thing or not, and what he's doing for the world, and all that. It was great. I loved it. Now, the star of this film, literally who stole the freaking show, was Ben Affleck as Batman, and I was not on board when he was first cast. I was like, man, I wanted Christian Bale back. I wanted him to continue as Batman because I loved Christian Bale's Batman. I am so happy I was wrong. Ben Affleck does the most ballsy, different Batman than you will ever expect, because you go from what we had with the Dark Knight trilogy and what that Batman was about, how he wouldn't kill, how he wouldn't, cross that line, to this Batman, and it's not really a spoiler, but man, this Batman is violent. This Batman does not care anymore, and it made perfect sense because how they build it up is like, even in that one clip that they had posted online about how he tells Alfred 20 years in Gotham, how many good guys are left and what promises are worth. You knew that he didn't care. He doesn't care anymore. And I don't know if that has to do with the Joker and how you see that the Robin suit's all graffitied by the Joker, obviously. And I don't know if the Joker had finally broken him. I so hope when they do a solo Batman film, they do a prequel onto what exactly happened that made him this way. Because they don't go into it. They don't go into what happened to Robin. They don't go into why he is the way he is. And they don't really acknowledge why he is doing this. The only really acknowledgement they give is that Alfred is kind of, acknowledging that, hey, you've changed. You're not the same Batman that you were. And that is what made the ending so good for me. The ending, because you just, when you guys, you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. But this movie was amazing. There are cameos. I won't ruin on how they're introduced. Those were, they were what they were. I'm not going to go too much into it. I might do a spoiler-only video later. But, man, this movie, it was what I wanted. Exactly. Because a lot of people were going in, I think people were going in wanting a masterpiece film. Wanting like a Dark Knight quality film. And that's not what I was going in for. I was going in for, man, I just want a good comic book film that will set up for the DC universe, because I am the biggest DC fanboy there is. I freely admit it. But when I went into this film, I tried to just, lower my expectations, just go in and see what I thought. And I went in, not only coming out with the biggest smile on my face ever, I went in like, man, I want to go see this movie again. And I think I might go see it again, maybe tomorrow or, over the weekend. Because this, honestly, it's gonna be a lot like Man of Steel with the fans and the critics, where it's advice. You're either gonna love it, you're either gonna like it, or you might just overall hate it. You just kind of have to go in, and just enjoy the ride, because the first act is kind of slow in building and why what's going on, but once the ride starts, it doesn't stop, and you literally, I did not like. There's some films, comic book films too, that I go in and I look at my watch and say, okay, when's this gonna be over? And that wasn't this movie. I was lasered in. So let's see, am I missing anything? Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White was awesome. He was a little bit kind of the comic relief. I mean, for what little comedy that there was and it wasn't forced comedy. That's the thing that I like. With Marvel, it's kind of like, oh, we're supposed to laugh now. No, it's kind of like real life humor that's just kind of a little bit of and it makes you chuckle. It's not like, oh, that's hilarious. It's like, no, it's just a little bit of a chuckle. And Lois Lane, Amy Adams' Lois Lane, she was all right. She's becoming more of a damsel in distress to me, and apparently may have a bigger role in this universe than we first thought. And I'm not entirely excited, unless they're going a way that I think they might go, and I sort of hope they do go that way. But if they do, it's just Lois Lane is she's becoming that typical damsel, and I was kind of hoping they wouldn't go that route. But when you see it, you'll see what I mean. Who else? I can't think of anybody else who really stood out. Really, it me as a Batman fan, dude. I'm more of a Batman fan than I really am a Superman fan. Batman stole the show. Just his action scenes, his fight with Superman, his him and Alfred were. It was basically like almost watching the animated series. Him and Alfred together. That was pretty awesome. And for anybody who is hesitant, I'm going to say, dude, honestly, the action scenes, the fight scenes for this movie is well worth the money. Like, and just seeing, you know, I won't spoil it, but I mean, because it's in the trailer, obviously, the nightmare sequence, that was, dude, I was wanting to jump out of my seat and scream, hell yeah, because that nightmare sequence is one of the best scenes in a comic book film. I don't care. For any DC comic book movie that they posted, that was one of the best because that was awesome. It definitely sets up for Justice League if you know what it means, but a lot of people won't know. I mean, I went with a bunch of my friends, and we had a bunch of comic book fans with us, and dude, they were clapping when they saw what was in that scene. Also, what else? Oh shoot, man. Just, I mean, if you're expecting a just all out, all out action movie, it's not that. There are action sequences, but it's a thinking movie. You have to think a lot. You have to pay attention. It's not like other comic book films where you can just eat popcorn and drink and not really pay attention and like talk to your friends. It's really you have to focus on what they're telling you, because of a lot of the movie you have to think, because I think what a lot of people in this who had seen the movie, even the critics, are like that it's jumbled up. Yeah, it's jumbled up. But a lot of the things that I had been hearing from other fans who had seen the movie was their problems with so and so, and I'm like, well, dude, if you think about it, you got to think this way, and then that's because this was a movie made by a guy who is a fan of DC Comics, and Zack Snyder. He did a great job, and it was Ben Affleck. He's probably one of the biggest Batman fans, so I think that's why he did such a great job. Because I think he knew exactly what he was going because when he was cast as this movie, because he knew Batman probably better than most on what makes Batman so fractured in this movie. He's not really a good guy. He's a little messed up in the head in this movie. And but even then you're like, dude, you're rooting for him because like even if he's messed up, you're like, dude, he's a badass. And that he is literally my top Batman now. Like anybody else who plays the part now, they're going to have to top him, which I never thought I would say that. I was like, who can top Christian Bale as Batman, because he was an amazing Batman. And then you go in and you're like, okay, Christian Bale's no longer Batman. Not to me. It's Ben Affleck. Someone's going to have to literally top this badass, don't give a shit Batman who, like, as you see in the trailer, he brands people. I'm like, who has ever done that in a film? I've never seen that. And that was awesome. And the way they introduced him in the beginning of the film, when you first see him, is so scary, actually. And it's really weird. It was like almost watching a horror film. Like, when you think something bad's about to happen in a horror film, and you're like, dude, I would never want to be in an alley. If I was a criminal of Gotham, I would not want to be in an alley with the Batman because I would be scared to death that he would kill me. And that was just that was Batman when you were a kid and reading the comics and watching the animated series. That was who Batman was. He was this guy that you were just scared to death of. And my only gripe with this film would really be that they don't really they don't really acknowledge why he is the way he is. I really would like to know what really pushed him over the edge to make him want to kill people. And other than that, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that they, maybe in the Justice League or even in maybe his solo Batman film, which they don't even have a release date for yet, uh, of acknowledging what is it that actually pushed him up. For me, I think as I've seen the movie right now, I need to see it again, obviously. But as of right now, I think it was Robin. I think what happened to Robin, whatever that is, it had something to do with the Joker. That the Joker had finally pushed Batman to the edge that said he didn't care. But I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10 because it was exactly what I wanted. I went in with three things that I needed to see. I needed to see Batman be Batman, which is what I got. Batman and Superman fight, like full out fight, and they fight like it is one of the best fight scenes I've seen. And then I needed to see the Trinity, which what I saw. I saw the Trinity, and they actually interact a little bit, and you're like, dude, they're interacting, they're talking to each other, and it's only for like a few seconds that they actually talk with one another, and then they do talk a little bit at the end. But dude, just hearing that, you're like, holy crud, and like it just put a smile on my face, and obviously, I think the next movie apart from Suicide Squad is the Wonder Woman movie, and I do hope they all acknowledge why is Wonder Woman in man's world, because anybody who's read the comics or watched the TV animated series, Wonder Woman is an Amazon who lives on Themyscira, if I pronounce that right, Themyscira, with only women, and they're not allowed to leave the island. So it makes me wonder, why did she leave? Was she exiled? Did she just leave to leave? So I'm really excited to see what Gal Gadot does for the Wonder Woman movie in 2017, and I'm definitely excited to see Suicide Squad in August because Batman is in it. We see it in the trailer. I'm I'm really excited to see I hope we see an interaction between Batman and Joker because oh my god, I will lose my mind because from what I'm hearing about Suicide Squad from the director of Jared Leto probably steals the show in that movie, and just and if they do even a small interaction between Batman and the Joker, I'll lose my mind. I seriously will lose my mind if I just seriously hope that is what we get. And with Harley Quinn, because Margot Robbie, she is one of the greatest actresses out there right now. If you've seen her in A Wolf of Wall Street or any of her other films, she's amazing. She's not just a pretty face; she's a very talented actress. And I didn't know that till I saw Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio and her. She's amazing. So that's all I have to say right now without going into too much spoilers. I may do a spoiler review after maybe a few days of people actually seeing the movie, and then you guys can come back and watch that. But seriously, guys, you need to go see this movie. It is a theater movie. Don't wait for rental. See it in IMAX if you can because it's a good great movie. Rate and comment below, and I'll talk to you guys later.